Alright, hi guys. So this is episode 3, I believe, of the series. And in episode 2, we talked about some one cost units. And we also touched upon why some units work better together with other units. And that's because of synergies, right? So in episode 1, we talked about synergies and why they're important to making a good army. Because synergies grant those units that are synergized bonus perks, and sometimes even grant the whole team bonus perks. So synergies are really important. You can't really win without synergies, right? Um, when it comes to synergies, there's usually like three types of synergies. There's frontline synergies, backline synergies, and then like other advanced like utility synergies. Similar to the units themselves, right? There's damage dealers, there's damage takers, and there's other random stuff. So, basic frontline synergies, right? These are the synergies you want your frontline to have, your damage takers to have, right? This is really important early on in the game, like I mentioned, because your frontline, your backline can always change throughout the game, right? Later on in the game, there's going to be a lot of damage dealers that pop up. You can switch them in and out. Very easy and relatively low risk, right? But your front line should always stay the same, right? Your front line, if you switch them out, it's very risky because then nobody on your team can take damage and your team just gets blown up, right? So frontline synergies is what you want to establish early on the game. So your goal is either to settle on brawlers or knights, right? So if your front line is brawlers, then your front line will have more health, right? And if your front line is knights, then your knights will block more damage, right? So all in all, like when you equivalize the two, right? I guess knights are a bit better because blocking damage can mean like blocking magic damage and blocking uh attack damage, whereas we'll talk about that later. Brawlers just have more health, and health just gets evaporated sometimes, right? But anyways, the general rule between brawlers and knights is that brawlers are stronger in the mid game, and knights are stronger early on and later on in the game. And this will be covered later as well. But, anyways, either one is okay. Just go with the one that you find the most units of, right? So if you find a lot of Warwicks early on, then you're selling on brawlers. There's no need to pick up any more knights. If you find a lot of Garens, Darius early on, then you're selling on knights, right? There's no reason to pick up Warwicks because you're going knights. Now that you covered your front line, so the guys on your team that'll take damage, you need to build a backline somewhat, right? So this is not really that important early on in the game because your backline is likely going to switch, but it's important to have somewhat of an idea of what backline you're trying to do, what damage you're trying to do, right? So I talked about this at the start. There's two types of damage, right? There's damage that can be done with your auto attacks. So every unit just attacks, right? Sometimes you bop them on the head. Sometimes you shoot them with a gun. Sometimes you hit them with an axe, right? Those are basic attacks. If you want your bops to do more damage, then you need attack damage, right? So you need like these synergies are all attack damage synergies, right? Walled, Ranger, Gunslingers, Blade Masters. These guys all deal attack damage. They when you have more of them, they attack faster, right? So they bop people more times on the head, they shoot them more times with a gun, right? Deal more damage that way. Um if you're trying to deal a different kind of damage, right? So remember I mentioned when you hit 100 mana, you deal like an ability or a special attack, right? Those are sorcerers, right? So if you want to deal damage with your abilities, then you want to go with sorcerers, right? So sorcerers, if you have more of them, like 3 of them, your abilities do more damage. So your Garen Spin will deal more, even though he's not a sorcerer, right? So sorcerer buff is actually pretty good early on because it affects your whole team. Your whole team's abilities just do more damage. Um, Last but not least, there's assassins. So the thing is generally like if you set up your sorcerers, your rangers, your wild, your gunslingers, your blade masters, oh, they're gonna get hit I mean, they're gonna do a lot of damage, but if they get hit, they're just gonna die, right? They're like glass cannons. So assassins are very dangerous early on in the game, right? Because early on in the game, there's not that many units to protect your backline. So as soon as they get into the backline, they can jump. They can jump to the farthest unit, and they can just deal damage that way, right? Oh, let me see if I have a good example. I think I get greased by a bunch of assassins early on in this. Nope. I'm sure somebody runs assassins, right? Nope. Wait, no way. Really? Okay, here, I guess. So not the best example, right? It's not a Kha'Zix, but it's still an assassin. So this assassin's called Eve, you're about to see. So she starts here at the start of the battle, right? But because she's an assassin, she jumps all the way here, right? And she starts attacking the furthest unit away. So this mechanic's actually really important, right? So she jumps to the furthest square so she can attack, and then she attacks backwards, right? She attacks facing the direction she jumped. So, like, you see how she's attacking my Aatrox, which shouldn't happen, right? All the other units are attacking this Darius, which is a damage taker, but she is attacking Aatrox and Lucian, right? Which are damage dealers. So, and then she hits my Tristana, right? So she just destroys my entire backline by herself, and then I end up losing this fight, right? So yeah, pretty damn strong. Assassins, that's why they're really strong early on. Kha'Zix really strong early on because you don't have that much protection for your damage dealers, and they just get melted by assassins, which deal damage to damage dealers and not damage takers, right? So if you have more assassins, what this does is your assassins deal more damage, and that's just not good at all, right? The thing is, later on, assassins will fall off because if you go like 6 assassins, then they'll just all get blown up. Usually, if you're not like really destroying all the other teams, because later on, there'll be stuff to protect your backline. But for now, assassins are your biggest enemy in the early game, right? So I guess next episode we'll talk about other synergies that you can throw in along with these synergies. But the premise of the game right now is to build like a front line, focus on your front line, and then try to come up with somewhat of a back line, right? So I'll see you guys in the next video.